Time flies. It's been months and Jungkook and Wine fall deep for each other. It's morning and Wine was sitting on the couch with a grumpy expression on her face. She was still annoyed at Jungkook for his comments about her cooking skills, and she was purposefully ignoring his attempt to make it up to her. He approached her, trying to make peace. Jungkook, hey, I was just teasing you about the cooking, right? I do not mean to offend you, he said, a hint of smile on his face. Vine turned her head to glare at him, her annoyed expression unwavering. Vine, of course I know you were teasing, she retorted, her tone sarcastic. And I also know you still think my cooking sucks. Jungkook chuckled awkwardly, rubbing the back of his head. Jungkook, okay, fine, I might have been a little too honest about your cooking, but I really do appreciate the effort you put into it, he said, trying to salvage the situation. And besides, you cook way better than me. Wine. Oh, so you appreciate the effort, huh? She retorted. And just because you burn everything you touch in the kitchen doesn't make me a better cook. I know I am better. Not just better, I am best. Changuk chuckled at her sassiness, shaking his head. Changuk, of course you are. And I can't help it if I am not a chef. Besides, it's cute when you get all grumpy because of my comments. He teased, his grin widening. Mr. June, Jungkook's father was coming down the stairs and noticed the tense atmosphere in the lounge. He approached them and chuckled softly. He recognized the situation. Mr. June, what did you do this time, Jungkook? He glanced sheepishly at his father, knowing he was in trouble. Jungkook, just some harmless teasing, he replied, trying to downplay the situation. I said something about her cooking and she got upset. Mr. June tusked and shook his head, clearly unimpressed. Mr. June, you really need to learn when to keep your mouth shut, son. He reprimanded. Women don't appreciate being teased like that, especially not your wife. Vine simply nodded, silently agreeing with Mr. June's word, her expression still maintaining the grumpy expression. In this meantime, Vine earned a soft corner in his father's heart. He loved her like his own daughter. Mr. June chuckled at her silent agreement and gave her an understanding smile. He then turned to him and said, with a hint of humor in his voice, Mr. June, you know my daughter is right. She really need to give you that silent treatment. You really need to learn to think before you speak. And I am with her too, he continued, joining in on the teasing. So you better start being more thoughtful, Jungkook, or you will have both of us and angry at you. He let out a mock heart scoff, feigning offense at his father's word. Jungkook, oh great, now you are siding with her too? He said with an exaggerated sigh. Guess I will have to watch my tongue from now on, huh? He looked at Ryan once more, his expression a mix of mock offense and amusement. Mr. June chuckled at their antics and said, Mr. June, all right, you two continue your little disagreement. I have some work to attend to, and best of luck, son. With a nod, he left the room, leaving Ryan and Jungkook alone once more. He took a seat next to Ryan on the couch, his expression earnest as he looked at her. He began speaking in a mock charming tone. throwing out cheesy lines to try and make up with her. Jungkook, hey there, beautiful. I am sorry for teasing you about your cooking. You are the most amazing wife in the world, and I am just lucky to have you. Jungkook, please forgive me, he said, a hint of pleading in his voice. You know I will eat your cooking no matter what, even if it's burned. I am just teasing before. Your food is amazing, and I am lucky to have a wife who puts so much effort into cooking for me. Vian's expression softened slightly as she listened to his attempt at an apology. His words seemed sincere, and she could not help but feel a bit of her annoyance melting away. She let out a small huff, pretending to still be annoyed, but a hint of a smile tugged at the corner of her lips. Jungkook saw her hint of a smile and decided to push his luck further. He reached out and started to tickle her, a mischievous gleam in his eyes. Jungkook, hey, come on now, he said, his hands moving rapidly to tickle her sides and stomach. Don't stay mad at me forever. You know you can't resist my charm for long. Vine squirmed and laughed uncontrollably as Jungkook's finger danced across her sensitive spots, tickling her mercilessly. Despite her earlier annoyance, she could not help but react to his playful touches. Vine, stop it, she managed to say between bouts of laughter, trying to sweat his hands away. Okay, okay, you are forgiven. Stop tickling me. Jungkook stopped tickling her and wrapped his arms around her from behind, pulling her close to his chest. He rested his chin on her shoulder, nuzzling his face into her hair, and placed a gentle kiss on her head. Jungkook, thank you for forgiving me, he murmured, his voice a soft whisper in her ear. As they were having a moment on the couch when they were interrupted by one of the security guards. The guard approached them and spoke, keeping his eyes downcast. Boss, a man has come and he is requesting to meet with young miss. Jungkook's demeanor instantly changed. He looked at the guard, his expression serious, and his voice gained an authoritative edge. His voice cold and icy. His sweet nature is only for her. Jungkook, who is this man and what does he want? The guard shifted on his feet, still keeping his eyes lowered. He introduced himself as young Miss Father. He replied, his voice maintaining a respectful tone. He is insisting to meet with her. Mine's eyes widened as she heard the guard's word. Her relaxed expression quickly transformed. She felt a lump from her in her throat as she gulped involuntarily. Jungkook, sensing Vian's discomfort, spoke up firmly to the guard. Jungkook, tell the man that Vian is not here. Vian, bring him in, she said coldly. Her words surprised him, and he turned to look at her, a hint of concern in his eyes. However, he did not question her and nodded to the guard. When father walked into the room, his eyes immediately locking onto Vian. He started walking towards her, but Jungkook quickly stepped in between them, blocking his path. He squared his shoulders, standing tall and solid. His expression stern as he looked at her father. He spoke firmly, his words sharp. Jungkook, that's far enough. Her father's eyes softened as he looked at Vian, remorse on his face. He spoke apologetically, his voice tinged with guilt. Vian, father, my daughter, he said, his voice filled with remorse. I have neglected you for so long, consumed by my own selfish desires. I am sorry. Please, can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Wine father, Vivian and her daughter manipulated me. He confessed, his eyes filled with shame. She used my weakness against me, and I let her control me. Because of this, your father's life was cut short. I know I can never make up for what happened, but please, I beg you to forgive me. Vine continued to look at her father, her expression icy. Vine, oh, I see. She said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You have lost everything now, have not you? And because of this, Vivian left you, did not she? His eyes widened, surprised by Vian's knowledge. Vian, father, how do you know she left me? He asked. Changuk spoke up, his voice cold and sharp. Changuk, Vivian left you first, he stated matter of facility. And I made sure she left this world as well. How can I see her breathing after she caused my love so much pain? Her father looked at Jungkook and then at Vian. Desperation etched on his face. Vian, father, please, Vian, he pleaded, his voice filled with anguish. I don't have anything left now. Please, I beg you, find it in your heart to forgive me. I am sorry for everything I have done. Vian stood up. Her eyes were cold. She walked closer to him and said, Vian, I hate you, she declared, her words laced with venom. I hate you with every fiber in my being. Because of you, my mother died. Because of you, everything happened to me. Leave here this instant before Jungkook takes your life as well. Jungkook gave a subtle nod to the guard who was standing there. The guard understood the cue and ushered him out of the mansion firmly. After the guard bring him out, Jungkook quickly wrapped his arms around Vian, enveloping her in a tight, protective embrace. He held her close, his body enveloping her as he comforted her. Jungkook, it's okay, he murmured, his voice gentle. He never back again. Why, I am okay. She leaned into Jungkook's embrace, finding comfort in his presence. I don't have any feelings for that man, she continued, her words carrying a tone of finality. He doesn't matter to me anymore. Jungkook smiled lovingly at her and said, Jungkook, ah, my queen. He then leaned down and planted a gentle kiss on her head, his lips pressing against her hair with tenderness. Vian looked up at Jungkook, her large toy eyes meeting his gaze with innocence. As he observed her, Jungkook abruptly for his eyebrows. Jungkook, what? He asked. Vian, you already had the day off, so let's go to the park. He raised an eyebrow, surprised by her sudden suggestion. He replied in a light-hearted tone. Jungkook, the park, huh? Why the park all of a sudden? Jungkook raised an eyebrow and smirked, leaning in closer. But why would we want to go to the park when we have our own room? She playfully hit him on his chest, feigning annoyance. When, you perverted man, she exclaimed, a mixture of amusement and mock frustration in her voice. He chuckled at her playful reaction, thoroughly enjoying their banter. Jungkook, hey, don't blame me, he said, his tone a mix of innocent and playful. I just can't help but think about that when you suggest something like going to the park while we have an empty room waiting for us. Ryan, of course it's my fault, she said sarcastically. I should have known better than to tempt you with the idea of outdoor adventures when we have a perfectly good bedroom waiting for us. Jungkook, I mean, can you blame me? He teased, his voice laced with feigned innocence. Who could resist the allure of a secluded park when there is a comfortable bed and a locked room just calling our names? Ryan, you are becoming more and more perverted every day. I used to think of you as a cold, distant robot, but now it seems like you have a wild side. He bent down to her level and said with a soft smile, Jungkook, and I have already told you, it's all your fault. You're the one who brings out this side of me. I swear around you, I can't help but be my raw, unfiltered self. Vine giggled at his statement, her eyes sparkling with humor. Vine, oh really? She teased. I am the one bringing out of your naughty side, huh? I didn't know I had such power over you. Vine, it's like I have a secret superpower, she added, feigning a dramatic pose. The ability to turn a stoic, serious man into a playful man. He chuckled and replied, Jungkook, yes, you do have that power over me. You strip away my composure and bring out my more frivolous, mischievous side. It's like you cast a spell on me and suddenly I can't resist being cheeky and flirty when I am around you. Vine blushed at his words, her cheeks turning a soft shade of pink. She looked up at him shyly, a mix of embarrassment and pleasure in her expression. Vine, you make me blush with your sweet words, she admitted, her voice slightly shaky. It's hard to keep me cool when you say things like that. He held her close to him and gently kissed her eyes. In a soft, heartfelt tone, he said, Jungkook, you are the light for my dark world. You bring brightness and color to my life, illuminating the shadows that once consumed me. I am forever grateful to have you by my side. Vine smiled warmly at his words, her heart swelling with affection. She leaned into his embrace, her head resting against his chest. Vine, and you are my anchor, she replied softly, her voice filled with emotion. You ground me, keep me steady in a world that sometimes feels like it's spinning out of control. You are the one I can always rely on, my safe haven in the storm. Vian, with you I feel safe, loved and understood. Vian continued, her voice growing quieter. You see me for who I am, flaws and all, and you still accept me, love me and support me. You are my everything, my strength and my inspiration. Vian looked up at him, her eyes shining with love. Vian, I don't know what I would do without you, he confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. You are my rock, my comfort, and my happiness. I love you with all my heart. He smiled down at her, his eyes filled with tenderness and love. He caressed her cheek gently, his touch tender and affectionate. Jungkook, and I love you just as fiercely. He replied, his voice low and sincere. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, and I will never take that for granted. I will always cherish and protect you. My queen, I am happy that that day you came as my secretary from managing my schedule. Now you are ruling on my heart and life. Changuk pecked Vian on the lips, a brief affectionate gesture, then he drew closer, enveloping her in a deep, passionate kiss. As their lips met, time seemed to stand still. They were lost in each other, their love and desire for one another consuming them. When they finally broke apart, they gazed into each other's eyes, filled with a mixture of longing, happiness, and contentment. In that moment, it was just the two of them, together in their own little world.